kind of like what I was alluding to earlier with you having this mentality of being okay with, yeah, this is probably going to be my last day. Is there the same kind of mentality that you have towards your dog as well?
Absolutely. So I don't know if you
Because,
know, my first canine partner was killed
oh, wow.
in the line of duty. My first canine partner was Harley. He
Uh,
was killed in 2019.
What happened?
We got a call of,
Yeah, how much legally can you share
the
about that?
case is done now. The
Okay.
individual sentenced, and
Because even 2019 in the legal sense is still like yesterday.
yeah, I think actually I'm trying to think of in 2024. The individual in that case was sentenced. So
Okay.
the case is now done. But in 2019, November 13, 2019, I was on night shift. I did night shift patrol for 10 years.
Hmm.
And we got a call of a possible drunk driver coming through Fishers on 69. So if you're familiar with the area,
Yeah, yeah,
69 is the interstate that goes through Fishers, goes up to Anderson, and
yeah,
take it all the way up to Ohio, right?
yeah.
Um, so we got information that there was a drunk driver.
Hmm.
Um, all of us, once again, going back to everything happens for a reason. Myself and most of our shift was out east. We were working a suicide, and we thought the car was just going to continue north or whatever. Obviously it was called in on.
Yeah.
Well, we had a new officer that was a lateral at the time, and with his field training
A
officer.
lateral.
Lateral meaning he came from another department.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Um, well, they were leaving the hospital. They brought an individual to the hospital, and they were coming back up to Fishers. Well, they saw that car pull over in Fishers on 69.
Okay.
And they're like, "Oh, that's the description of the car that dispatch had put out." So they got behind the car. The car took off.
Ooh.
So they
Okay.
got in pursuit with the car. So they're calling out a pursuit, and with me being a canine handler, and it was on Oleo Road that we were over at for
Yeah.
the
Yep.
call that we are on. It
Yep.
was just north of Hamilton Southeastern High School.
That's where I went to high school.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. And so I left that because obviously with me having a dog,
Hmm.
there's somebody that's actively running from us. So I left that
Yep.
to go help the officers.
Yeah.
And most people will not. They try to leave Fishers. They don't trying to go into Fishers or stay in Fishers, right? They're trying to grab them on the interstate and trying to, or,
Get out.
yes. Well,
Yeah.
this individual ends up getting off at the 210 exit. The 210 exit's what the exit that you would get off if you go to like Clips Music Center, or
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Noblesville and all that
I
stuff.
call it Deer Creek, but
Yeah,
yeah.
so
Yeah.
old school, right?
Yeah.
So called Deer Creek. And people that know it go, "Oh yeah, Deer Creek."
Deer
Yeah.
Creek. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but it gets off the 210 exit and heads toward Oleo Road.
Yeah.
Well, I'm on Oleo Road, so they're essentially coming to me. Um, I end up getting second in the pursuit. Because our sergeant at the time, who's a lieutenant now, he ends up taking lead for the pursuit, and
Okay.
he ends up pitting the car. Pitting is essentially like a pit maneuver where you make the car spin out, stop, one of
Oh,
those.
yeah. 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 Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he ended up pitting the vehicle. And unbeknownst to us at the time, the car was stolen. And the individual inside the car, there was a male and female. The male was 19 years old from Indianapolis,
Mm.
and he had been involved in over 20 shootings in a month and a half. We didn't know this, obviously. Our
Jeez.
information that we got was just a drunk
It's a
driver.
real Bonnie and Clyde here.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, once again, the information after that we gathered, the his friend had just gotten picked up by FBI
Ooh.
like a week earlier. So
Yeah.
this individual thought, "Oh, they're on to me, right?"
Oh, they got me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he takes off running from the car. That's when myself and my canine partner Harley gave chase to him, and we were in a big field. We're lucky because we trained in that field, so I knew how big it was. I knew how overgrown it was. I knew how dangerous it was for us.
So this was kind of maybe a little bit of like a home field advantage to you because you knew that field, you were familiar with
Yeah,
it.
but I always say that, yeah, it helps that you're in the area, right? That's our only home field advantage that we have, that we're in the area. But at the same time, I never know someone's intentions, right, till they show
Right.
me their intentions.
Right.
So he took off running. So it helped me that I knew the area and I
Hmm.
knew how overgrown. So from a safety aspect, from a tactical, I was like, he's maybe going to try to ambush us. Like, we can't keep pushing forward. And that's the benefit of having a dog.
Hmm.
So when you get a dog, it's well known that, hey, there's a chance this dog at some point might be in a situation where he dies, right? And you always say as a handler, it's them, the dog, versus a human being, because we can always replace a dog as much as that sucks. We can
Yeah.
always replace a dog. At the same time, until you're in that situation, right? I always joke around and say there's people I could think about sending in before I send my dog in, um, but that's just a joke.
Yeah.
But it goes back to, you train this dog up to be successful. You train him at the end of the day, they're doing their job. And
Mhm.
my caveat to this is I didn't know this individual had a gun. I didn't know who he was. I
Sure.
would never send, that's when talking about the brains of the operation, I would never send my dog into a situation for him to get killed. I'll never send my dog to his death, right?
Sure.
But
Sure.
also understanding if it's an unknown, right? There's other things that we can do, but in a situation like this where somebody's running from us after
Yeah.
a traffic stop, you're like, he might have a gun. We don't know that he has a gun, but we have to give chase because now there's a danger to the police officers that are on scene that somebody's just running from us.
Yeah.
There's a danger also now to the community that somebody,
He's
a
at
felon
large.
is running,
Yeah.
right? There's a residential neighborhood, probably 500 yards to the east of this field. Now he's running toward a highly, occupied area with
Mhm.
homes. So there's things like that that you have to take into consideration. So I ended up sending my canine partner, and it took us a little bit to find him. I say a little bit, like a couple minutes, if that.
Mhm.
Um, and we actually had just gotten our body cams at that time. And on my body cam, I'm in the field with the officer that was the lateral. That was the new officer to our police department. He had been a police officer before, so he wasn't
Mhm.
brand new. And then the field training officer.
Mhm.
And so it was the three of us. And right before he was shot, I said to him, "Hey, just let's take this slow. This is dangerous." And not even 10 seconds after I said that, we heard a single gunshot, and he shot my canine partner right on top of his head. It got lodged. It went through his first and second vertebrae and got lodged in the third vertebrae. And thank God it killed him instantly. Then the individual took off running. He ended up now going, he cut back across Oleo and went west into Saxony. If people are listening
Mhm.
to this from Fishers, they know that area. Went into Saxony. And then what saved us that day was it was really cold. So he started getting cold. So we started receiving phone calls on him because he started trying to break into homes.
Mm.
And one of the first calls that we received was a mom that was up feeding her newborn child, and she was obviously up trying to feed her kid,
Mhm.
and the individual was trying to open up her window, saw it, screamed, spooked them, took off running.
Sure.
And then essentially we just created a perimeter around it. We had a lot of help. State police was out there.
Mhm.
Noblesville came. I mean, it was the
Everybody.
amount of help that we started. Once people heard the news that a police canine was shot, at the
Oh
time we didn't
shit.
know that he was dead.
Yeah.
I fully anticipate. Once I heard it, I knew I had been successful with Har-lee. We had located a good amount of individuals. So when I heard that gunshot, I was like, "That's for Har-lee." I knew it.
What's
Um,
going through your mind in that moment?
uh,
Like, are you like, because you're trying to stay focused on your job, but I'm sure like the emotions is just
yeah, it was hard. The first thing that I thought of was I have to stay calm, and collected because I don't want other people to freak out. Right.
because if you freak out everybody, then it's a
Yeah,
collapse.
yeah.
Yeah.
If I start freaking out, then everyone else is going to start panicking, or people, God forbid, you take off run. My first intent is I want to run into the woods. I want to run into the woods and grab my dog, but at the same time, I knew I'm going to put myself at risk. I'm going to put other officers at danger or risk by running in there. So I knew I had to
Yeah.
stay calm, and so I was, putting stuff out on the radio. Um, but in my head, it was just that like I remember one of the first things I thought of was people always say like, "Oh, Fishers, nothing happens in Fishers and whatever." And I remember when I heard that
So
gunshot, um, I I said, "It's here. I'm in that situation right now that you think of, that you train for. You're like, I'm in it right now."
yeah.
Um, so you're a little of you want is twofold. A little bit of you is, man, maybe it's just a warning shot. Maybe Har-lee's running around somewhere. I want him to come back to me, but it's flip side to that. You're like, the way we've trained, and he better not be coming back to me. He better be running
Yeah.
after the suspect, right? So
Yeah.
it's like that tugging and pulling moment of like
Mm.
feeling just kind of you want him to be there, but you don't want him to be there. You want him to be chasing somebody. You don't want him to be dead,
You want your
but
buddy to
at the end
come.
of the day, you're like, I know he's dead. I know that shot was for my dog. But then you start thinking, I started calling for him, and then the fear of like, well, maybe he's wounded, and now he's trying hard to get back to me, and he can't. So then I didn't want to call him anymore. It's like all of these emotions are going through your head of like,
Yeah.
I want him to come back to me. I can't. I don't want to call him anymore. I want him to come. No, I can't. I don't. If he's hurt, I don't want him to bleed out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or
Is
I'm
there a part
forcing
of you
him to.
that's is there a part of you that's I don't know, is there a part of you that's kind of like wishing maybe I shouldn't have sent Harley? Is there like a little bit of the regret there a little bit?
Luckily, no. Because like after the aftermath and the overwhelming support you get, obviously from the handlers that are like, you did the right thing. It was a good deployment. Um,
Yeah.
but more importantly, like I get like it's so funny. This obviously was 6 years ago now, and I still get emotional when I think about it. But it's overwhelming, like just like validation to know that I did the right thing, and like when you see your kids again for the first time, when you see your wife again for the first time, to know that at the end of the day, right, I can get another
Yeah.
dog, I can't get another dad, I can't get another husband. um so like and then when you get officers that like are quiet, that just say, hey, thank you, but then when 4 years go by after, like I've gotten text messages and stuff 4 or 5 years after the fact that say, I just want to say thank you, you know? Um, that's when you know you did the right thing. Because they said, hey, if you weren't there, I would have ran in the woods. It would have been me. So that's when you're like, all the training we put in with our canine unit, all the people that put in work with, Harley and what we do for every dog in our unit, it's you put in all that work for a time like that where everyone at the end of the day can go home, right? Like
Yeah.
I suffer the pain of it all, but it's also a level of appreciation of the work I just put in with the dog and the other
Yeah.
people that put in the work. So it's a sense of pride more than anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely hard
Yeah,
for
you got
sure.
me a little choked up here
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
John Wick was justified.
Yeah. Yeah.
John
Oh.
Wick was justified.
Oh man.